Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Y'all ready for this?
All right, average Jocks fans, we have a wrap-up episode this week. We don't have a guest. It's just Adam and myself. We're going to wrap up the rest of the 2022-2023 season. So, Adam, obviously the Vegas Golden Knights, for anybody who isn't living under a rock, have won the Stanley Cup, defeating the Florida Panthers in 5 games in that deciding 5th game by a score of 9-3. That's pretty decisive. I feel like we were both wrong. We were both pulling for the Kitties. And the Kitties, unfortunately, had to bury their poop in the sand because that was brutal.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to retire the Florida jersey in the background. Only up there for 6-7 weeks, but it was surprising, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to go out like that. I honestly thought they were going to go out swinging. I thought it was going to be 7 games, 2-1 games,
for sure.
3-2 games.
Well, especially after taking on Boston in the first round, and Boston setting a NHL record for the most dominant season ever played. They took them to 7 games, won. They take on arguably the second best offensive team in the Eastern Conference with Toronto, and won. They take on arguably again one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, Carolina Hurricanes, and won. I feel like what did them in was that week off.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like they were riding a high and then just hit a wall once that week came. Whether they got in their own heads, watched too much tape, maybe they got the Vegas flu. I'm not sure what, but they just did not look like themselves. And I mean, they made Vegas look amazing in the process. And I don't want to take anything away from Vegas because they're a good team, but I feel like if maybe there wasn't that week off, I don't think you would have been seeing 9-3 games. I don't know if, I think maybe this could have went to 6 or 7. I don't know. I feel like these playoffs this year were weird. Controversies in the first round with Leafs fans versus Wes McCulley. Some weird suspensions, some weird calls, some weird non-calls. I don't know. I just feel like these playoffs were weird. And I also feel like they went by very quickly, even though, a few series went to 7. I don't know. I just feel like you blinked and it's done.
Yeah, I agree with you going. I felt like it went by fast, but I feel like this is one of the latest playoffs that's gone in a while. Like you said, couple series go to game 7. And honestly, the Wes McCullough thing, I never really noticed it until I was watching on Saturday. I was watching game 3. Game 3? Yeah. No, when they lose in overtime. No, game 4. My bad. So game 4. It was game 4, and it was 6-4 for Florida. Vegas guy blocks a shot from Vegas. His stick breaks, and Wes McCullough just blows the game dead. No reason. And I get it, the whole the shit's rigged. I know, I fucking hate that. But you know what? He had no reason to blow the game dead. And that cost Florida that minute
Momentum.
And 4 seconds.
Yeah.
They were buzzing. And then a guy blocks a shot, his stick breaks. So now you're down to pretty much 6-on-3. And Wes McCullough just goes, hey, here's my whistle. I'm going to blow it. It was a little odd. I mean, it doesn't fucking matter what ref is reffing for Toronto, they're always going to blame the refs before they blame their own fucking
100%.
team. So, and I think too, you got to give a lot of props to the goaltending in Vegas. I think no one expected that. I mean, Jonathan Quick was a healthy scratch.
Well, for sure, and I feel like all year they had like, or I don't want to say all year because Logan Thompson carried the weight of that team for a while, but they had to have next man up mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But they've almost had that the entire time that the entire 6 years they've existed. You know, they had Marc Andre Fleury, and then he almost became obsolete. Robin Leonard comes in, and then Logan Thompson comes in, and then Laurent Brossoit comes in, and then Aiden Hill comes in. They acquire Jonathan Quick. He came in for a bit. Like in the first year, they also had like Oscar Dansk. They had Maxime Legacy. Like they just had so many goaltenders play in their short 6 years. It absolutely
Was Subban
baffles me.
there?
Malcolm Subban, yeah, forgot about him.
I thought I was like yeah, I thought so, yeah.
Like they've had a lot of goaltenders carousel through in 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. Like I just they've it doesn't matter who they threw in nets. It seemed like whoever they put in nets was having a hot streak,
Yeah.
and it worked out well for them. And that maybe brings up my first off-season question, where teams that are looking for goaltenders. It's Winnipeg's made it clear that they're looking to change the core of their team. They feel like the Scheifele, Hellebuck, maybe Wheeler core is done.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try and move on from that. So Dubois as well.
Yeah.
Our team's going to swing the fences out of Connor Hellebuck. Fantastic goaltender, one of the best goaltenders in the league.
Yeah.
But after seeing what Vegas has done in 6 years with next man up mentality and looking at deep teams, do you say, hey, let's just go get a good goalie? We don't need a great goalie. We don't need an elite goalie. Let's go get a good goalie, or
Mm-hmm.
even two good goalies, a 1A, 1B. Christ, in Vegas's case, two two 1B goalies.
Yeah.
And let's just roll with them, save some money, spend that money to make our whether it's your bottom six or your top 4D or even your top 6D deeper. Like, do you look at that option? And I mean, do you look at that in Ottawa? Because Ottawa just got Andlauer now as a new as a new owner. And do you rock Anton Forsberg and Jesus Murphy?
Samsonov? Not
Who?
Samsonov. Um,
Sogard.
Sogard. Yeah, sorry.
Like, do you rock those two and try and spend that money in Ottawa's bottom six or Ottawa's defense? I mean, Montreal as well. The rumors for the last little bit and how much truth there is behind it or not. Do you extend Montembeault and give him more money? Do you look at maybe a Carter Hart? Do you poke around at maybe Minnesota? They got a few young goaltenders coming up. Like there's teams that have goaltenders to spare. Like, do you start spending money at that, or do you keep okay goaltenders and go deep up front, deep on defense?
See, if the thing is, it's so tough because Vegas, like you said, 6 years, second time, second time in the finals? Yeah, because they were in the finals in the first year, and then they lost to Montreal as well, and then they obviously won this year. I just think it's so tough because a lot of the guys on that team have so much fucking grit and they have a chip on their shoulder. So Hill coming in is obviously a great asset because, like you said, Thomas, Quick, and then Hill. It's just tough because it's like for Ottawa, for example, they can spend that money, but they got to spend the money on the right people. So
Fair.
if they keep those two goalies, I think, I think, like to answer your question instead of just fucking babbling, I think it can happen. Even in Montreal, like you say, we extend Motembo. I'm pretty sure we gave him all right money. if I remember correctly. And
Yep.
even if they go after Hart, why not have that? To me, that's a great example of a 1A, 1B goalie, or maybe 1B, 2B. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I'm looking up right now. I want to see Vegas Golden Knights rosters, and I want to count how many goaltenders they've went through. So you continue on what you're saying. I just want to count how many goalies they've been through in 6 years.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, it's just at what point, like you said, Winnipeg wanting to, jump ship with everybody. It's just like, if I get they're trying to clean house, but I mean, it's a tough question to answer because even us growing up, it was, goalies were fuck every team had a good fucking goalie back then. Like we had Price, Fleury was young.
So
Jonathan Quick was.
this year alone, Vegas used 5 different goaltenders.
That's insane. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Goalies right now, goalies aren't winning. I don't want to say that because that's going to make me sound like Hill doesn't deserve the praise that he deserves. He does deserve. I just think that the team he had in front of him was unbelievable, and I want to word this correctly because I don't want to fucking bash Hill because he played so well. Oh, how can I say this? I just think teams can win with mediocre goalies. Let's just put it that way. And I'm not calling Hill a mediocre goalie, but I think to answer your question, I think teams can go out, spend the money up front, get yourself 4 top defensemen. Not 4 top defensemen, but you know what I mean. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it can happen. I think it can happen. And I think, in my opinion, Montreal should be one of those teams. I don't think we should be spending money on goaltending. I think we let Montembeault ride it out, and if we get a Hart, or if we get, like you said, one of the goalies from Minnesota. And I'm pretty sure Buffalo's got like 18 goalies.
Yeah,
Like
they're also a deep goaltending team.
it's just I think the game is evolving that good number one goalies per se. I'm using that term lightly, is going to be far and few in between. There's not going to be Carey Prices anymore, Henrik Lundqvist anymore. And I'm not saying goalies aren't going to be good and they're not going to be, but I just don't think
I don't
goalies are
know if
like how they
I
used to
don't I
be.
disagree with that in this because there are some young star goaltenders that are going to be your elites, your Igor Shesterkins, your Andrei Vasilevsky, Ilya
Yeah,
Sorokin. There's going to be some young star goaltenders, but that's not the way anymore. You're not going to be riding guys, even those guys, 65, 70, 75 games anymore.
yeah. I think
That's
that's
a
what I
thing
meant
of
to
the
say.
past.
I think that's what I meant to say more. I think I tried to word it as good as possible, and you just kind of helped me there. There's going to be those top tier guys, but there's not going to be goalies that are going to be starting 70 games a year anymore. It's not happening. It's not happening. Look at you
While you keep
sucking on that
talking,
straw. Holy.
the straw's frozen. I hate it. I hate the paper straws. It's garbage.
Oh, that's great. No, I mean, I don't know if you can. I don't know how far you could hear me upstairs, but um, I don't know. I think it was a great year for hockey. I think a lot of changes have to happen. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm whispering too because like I'm in the living room and I don't want to wake Grayson out. But hey, you know what it is. Um, but it's great to see Vegas actually win. To be honest with you, I hate that Edmonds gonna take the fucking "oh, I'm the fucking best. Look what I did in Vegas" kind of deal. But the worst was the owner of Vegas. He's like, "Yeah, all the heart and soul I put with this team." Like, dude, you look like fucking what's that? Ernest Goes to Camp. Like, don't even fucking start with me. Like, and
Are you comparing the Vegas Golden Knights owner to Ernest P. World?
well, yeah, I gotta fucking. I gotta look how dumb this is,
So
dude.
I found
Look at
some
this.
straws here. I just want to put this out here. Wheat drinking straws.
Wheat drinking straws. Look at this. This is how stupid it is. I'm using my phone. I have 2 tablets here.
can't get my headphones to connect, but they connect to my phone. So I just wanted to rant on that for a second. And now I want to fucking put this guy out. Because, have you seen him in Vegas?
I haven't.
Just so you know, because I'm not going to disagree. So, owner of Vegas.
Vegas Golden Knights
No, he
owner.
doesn't look like him. I was pretty high. I don't know. I must not have seen him. Yeah, I must have been pretty high when I seen him.
Yeah, I was gonna say this Bill Foley is the owner.
Oh, yeah, he looks like Ric Flair.
You say he looks like Ric Flair?
Yeah, give him some long hair. Or fucking give him like a gold chain and shit. But anyways, I think bold prediction. I think Seattle wins the Stanley Cup in the next 5 years.
The thing is, teams got smarter from the Vegas draft to the Seattle draft.
100%.
Seattle didn't get the players that Vegas got. Just look at Florida alone. Gave up Jonathan Marchessault for them to take Riley Smith. That's 2/3 of their first line.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Marchessault just got the Conn Smythe. You gave that up, I believe, plus a pick for them to take both those players.
Mm-hmm.
Bananas.
Mm-hmm. How pissed must Pacioretty be this year?
Pittsburgh gave a first-round pick for them to take Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
What? I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, we can go through that expansion list, and there's going to be more. There 1,000% there's more, but just all in all, it's crazy. It's nuts.
And because I think, like you said, I think teams learned from the Vegas draft, and they were, like even us, like at one point there was talks that we weren't even going to protect Carey Price.
We didn't protect Carey Price for the Seattle one.
That's right.
We didn't.
For the Seattle one. But yeah, that's what I mean. But they weren't going to take that. They weren't giving up that contract because he was fucking making.
Well, 100%. And that's the thing. When teams looked at the risk reward more so than names. Like, there were a lot of exposed players that people that, if you looked at the Vegas draft, expansion draft, that would have been protected, that this time around weren't. So, I know, like, that being said, Bergevin and Kent Hughes both did a great job. Or no. Both did a great job with their protection lists. I mean, we lost Cale Fleury and Alexei Yemlin. All right.
I mean, Emily's on playing anymore.
Oh, he's in the K. And Cale Fleury played some games with Seattle, but I mean, Montreal's D-core is so deep, it didn't matter.
Oh, yeah, which is nice. So I'm actually excited for our defense. A healthy defense core this year. I'm excited.
You're going to have to speak up.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No.
Can't hear me now? No.
Yeah. You got to stay right there.
Right there. Okay, maybe you just have to talk. It's not my it's my phone. I think. Do you think Montreal still tries to get rid of Edmondson in the offseason?
I'm not sure if the offseason is the time to get rid of a player like Edmondson or Savard. I mean, if there's a solid package deal, think about it. Mm-hmm. But where you're going to get the most from these guys is at a trade deadline.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, if I were Montreal, that you could move in the offseason and you're probably getting the same value either way. Maybe a Christian Dvorak. A Josh Anderson. But again, like, who of these guys are you wanting to get rid of? Like, Jonathan Drouin's contract's done. I feel like the writing's on the wall there. He's not coming back. I'm a fan. I feel like he's had a rough shake in his NHL career. Does he deserve the money he was making the last 4 seasons? No, but he deserves an NHL contract.
Yeah, I agree.
But like Yoel Armia could be worth something at a deadline to a contending team. He's not worth anything right now. Edmonton and Savard have worth right now, but they'll be worth more at a trade deadline if you know you're pushing and you just seen teams X, Y, and Z go out and get somebody and your hands are tied. Like those guys are going to be worth a first plus at a deadline. But back to the Cup Finals. Like I think Florida got some much needed experience. Most of their team had not been to a Cup Final. A lot of the Vegas team, Pietrangelo, second Stanley Cup. Martinez Quick, third Stanley Cups. Phil Kessel, third Stanley Cup. Ivan Barbashev, second Stanley Cup. Like I feel like they had so many there were so many players with deep playoff experience. Marcus O'Reilly been to the Cup Final. Mark Stone went to the conference final with Ottawa back in, I think it was like 2017 or 18. Jack Eichel, first playoffs, was buried in Buffalo. They've had they're fortunate. They had a lot of playoff experience where Florida, I don't think necessarily had that. Radko Gudas maybe had a couple runs with Tampa. Tkachuk had a couple first, maybe a second round in Calgary. I don't know. I just think that Florida, I don't think we've seen the last of them in a deep playoff run. I don't think this was a one-off.
Yeah, and that's like another goaltending thing, like Bobrovsky showed up at the end of the year. Like he wasn't starting at one point, correct?
Bobrovsky, he didn't even start the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
It was they opted to go with Alex Lyon.
Yeah, they ain't lying. He ain't good. No, he's good. I'm just not good.
But
yeah, no.
But that's another situation where you're paying a goaltender $10 million. They expected to be able to play him 60, 65, 70 games. But they have Spencer Knight. Hopefully he can get his shit together, whatever's going on, whether it's drugs, alcohol, mental health, whatever. We wish him the best of luck. But they need both of those guys to be playing on the top of their game, and they have a roster that can dominate. You've seen it do it through 3 rounds in the Eastern Conference Final, and unfortunately momentum stopped. But they have the team to do it. They have a team to go far, which sucks as a fan of another. What division are they now? Is it still the Atlantic?
So about the fucking division's fucking just
like I just feel like Tampa, Toronto, Ottawa's up and coming. Buffalo doesn't have a slouch team. Florida, and it's just Boston, and then
us.
Montreal.
Fucking yeah. What was I gonna say too? Yeah, big thing too. Like, fuck, there's a lot of injuries there. Like, I know that always comes out during this. Do you think they should actually announce those injuries at the end of the playoffs, or do you think that should just be kept amongst the team? I feel like that shouldn't be announced. I don't know why I feel it's weird, but I just.
Sorry, you think they should be kept to the team?
Like, as in, like, afterwards, like, why the fuck do people need to know if Eric McBride had a fucking broken penis or whatever?
I think it's just cool to know as like a fan or as somebody that has a podcast and has content to talk about. Like, I think it's a testament, like you see in basketball, fucking hurt my pinky finger, gonna miss the finals.
Yeah.
Fucking Matt Tkachuk has a broken what is that, sternum or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, game time decision. Excuse me?
Yeah,
hockey players are
a different breed.
They're crazy, yeah. They're a different breed. They're animals. And it doesn't make sense. Some dislocated ribs, fucking Aaron Ekblad torn oblique, broken foot. Like, I feel like you almost have to tell these guys, if you're a doctor, you literally can die. And there's some that still might be like, fuck, okay, what can you give me to prevent that?
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was this year's hockey. I think I definitely watched more once we started. Like once I jumped on here with you and kept up more. I'm definitely gonna watch a lot more next year. I enjoyed the playoffs this year. I watched when I could. I mean, as well as anybody, I'm a big Jays fan, but even just watching the playoffs, like it's good hockey, man. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Fuck the playoffs, it's good hockey. I mean, I don't even care if my team's not playing.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is probably the first year that I've really enjoyed watching other teams play on a consistent basis. Mm-hmm. Like, I loved watching that Rangers Carolina first round.
Yeah.
Like, that was a fun series to watch. Mm-hmm. Are we keeping you up?
No, I'm just fucking old,
bro. But I mean, there's a lot of teams that need to get their shit together, and that's going to start at the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I don't buy that bullshit that's been going around. Some scouts are getting nervous. Connor Bedard, whatever. I've seen so many articles about that. He's not going to live up to the hype. Piss off. Like, Connor Bedard is legitimate.
That's happening right now. People saying that shit.
Yeah, well, at least, I mean, it's all beat websites or beat reporters, but it's not like you're not seeing Craig Button put out his top 10 projections without Connor Bedard being number one. But it's all like those hockey websites that are out there. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but so many articles just Connor Bedard might be a bust. Connor Bedard's overhyped. Scouts are saying, and it's like, I would love to know which scout and for which team.
Yeah, I really have to fucking do it. I really fucking call upside.
We can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, it's the fucking right. It's the right headphone. Is that better? Okay.
Much better.
Yeah, a lot better.
Yeah.
No, I should have I took the right headphone out because I feel like I'm yelling, but whatever. If I wake my kid up, it's my own problem. Yeah, like, and the big thing too, I know the last couple of days, like Montreal's been looking. I've been getting notifications that they're looking to move up in the draft, which is huge.
Well, it seems like the only player that they've had extensive conversations with, and again, this is just based off of reporters that are at the combine. And it's not like teams are putting out who they've taken to dinner, who they've had conversations with, is Adam Fantilli.
Love it. I can't.
As a Montreal fan, that excites me. As any of the four teams ahead of them, okay, we're not even going to say four. The three teams ahead of them, because there's absolutely no way in hell four teams pass up on Connor Bedard, even if scouts are right, Connor Bedard bust. There's no way that Anaheim, San Jose, Chicago, fuck, who's the other one?
Columbus
pass up on Connor Bedard. That's not happening.
It's not happening. It's not fucking no. Absolutely not. I want to know. I want to see if how much time do they have? 3 minutes for a pick? No, a minute.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. See how long.
But having been to the draft last year, it's more like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Over under a minute and a half to let them pick. But no, I'm excited for the draft. I'm going to watch the draft this year for sure. I mean, we look at the splash Montreal made last year. So
yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to be at the draft last year, like in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy experience. If anybody has the opportunity to go to a draft live, do so. So much fun. Crazy. But nobody there expected Slafkovsky. And I even called Uri Slafkovsky. But just the way Shane Wright came in, the way everything was hyped up before, I don't know. Like, there's no way in my head that I see a team passing him on Connor Bedard.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
So then you shift to Anaheim. I feel like they're deep up front.
So you think there's a chance? I'm paying attention. I just want to pull out the top 10 guys here. So I got names. I know a few of the guys, but do you think there's a chance
here's the
that
thing.
Anaheim?
I've made my own top 10 list of how I
Okay.
think it's going to go.
Okay. I feel like I'm breathing heavy. Am I breathing heavy?
No, you're good. I'll pull it up here. So this is how I see it going. Connor Bedard to Chicago at number 1. Number 2, Adam Fantilli to Anaheim. I just feel like he's too good to pass up on. Number 3, I have Leo Carlsson going to Columbus. I feel like Columbus has a European GM. They seem to like a lot of the Euros. Whenever they seem to draft, they seem like a European deep team. I think Leo Carlsson makes sense for them. Number 4 with San Jose, I have Will Smith. I think that,
and I think
I don't know. Just I have a gut feeling that Matvei Michkov is going to drop, just because of who in their right mind, knowing that they can go to the NHL and he's in the same conversation. Oh, he's the next Malkin. He's the next Ovechkin. He's the next Kirill Kaprizov. Signs a contract knowing that you have 3 years to play in the KHL past your NHL entry date, where you're obviously leaving money on the table because rubles is worth a hell of a lot less than the US dollar. Who's doing that? If you seriously want to play in the NHL that bad, who is doing that?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense to me, and that makes me nervous. If it was 1 year, he was signed, he was in the KHL until he's 19. All right, sure, whatever. But the fact that he signed there until he's 21, 22, that scares me.
Yeah, so yeah, it says
so, and I think it's going to scare some teams. So I have Will Smith going forward with San Jose. Now this is where it gets tricky, because I have different ideas in my head about Montreal's approach to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen last year in the draft, they picked 2 Slovakian national team players in Uri Slafkovsky and Philip Messer. There is a highly anticipated prospect from the Slovaks as well, in Dalibor Dorsky. Do they continue their trends with the Slovaks? I could see them going that route.
Yeah, he's way
personally
down
there's a few players I really like that I would hope that they would draft before Dorsky.
Mm-hmm.
in either Zach Benson or Colby Barlow.
Okay.
Both shooters. But ultimately, I have a gut feeling they go Dorsky at 5. At 6, I have Arizona going Zach Benson. At 7, I have Philadelphia going Colby Barlow. At 8, I have Washington taking Matvei Michkov. Washington has a history of being able to develop and bring over Russian players, Kuznetsov, Samsonov, Orlov, Kuznetsov, all the Ovs. So I think Matvei Michkov makes sense in Washington. And they're a team that they've told Ovi they're going to compete until he retires.
Yeah, that's fair.
So their rebuild hasn't even really officially started, even though they have descended in caliber or aged. So again, that being said, they can afford to wait on a prospect for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Because Ovi's not going to retire until he breaks Gretzky's scoring record.
Yeah, but I think once he does, he's done. I don't think
Well,
he'll play
yeah,
another season
agreed,
after he breaks
100%
the record.
agreed. So I think, they can afford to wait for a prospect. They're not in dire need, and they're looking for the last piece or two to a rebuild. They're not there yet. So Matvei Michkov being 3 years in the K shouldn't bother them. At 9 in Detroit, I feel like they have some pretty deep prospects on defense. So I think they finally go with a forward and they look at Ryan Leonard. And then at 10, I think St. Louis is the opposite, where they have some pretty deep forward prospects, where they look at defense and they take David Reinbacher at 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at these guys talking. Like, I'm looking at their mock draft here, and the guy that you said Montreal was that you would like Montreal to draft. They have him going late.
Sorry, which one? Dilibor Dorsky?
No. Where the fuck's his name?
Benson?
Yeah, Benson. No.
Barlow?
Oh fuck! He threw a lot of names out at me. Now I'm all confused.
Do you want me to quickly name my top 10 again?
No, yeah, but no, Barlow. Yeah, Barlow.
They have him going where? 13? Somewhere like that?
20.
They have him going at 20.
Yeah.
I think he goes before 20.
Okay.
One player that I actually had the opportunity to speak with at the World Junior A Challenge that I think they have pretty high on the list is Tom Wallander.
Sorry, 17. Yeah, I see that name. Sorry, one guy's got him going at 17 to Detroit.
Barlow?
Yeah. And Tom Weilander.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one guy has him going 11th to Vancouver.
He is a hell of a player, whoever gets him.
And again, like you said, it's tough for Montreal. One guy's got Montreal taking Ryan Leonard, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that is I don't know. I just feel like, again, at 5, even let's say San Jose or Columbus takes Matvei Michkov. Mm-hmm. That leaves Will Smith or Leo Carlsson. I'm taking Leo Carlsson or Will Smith over Ryan Leonard. I'm taking either of those guys over Zach Benson, over Kobe Barlow, over Dalibor Dorsky. You know what I'm saying? To break that top 4, anybody who's in that top 4 that I mentioned, Bedard, Fantilli, Carlson, Smith, if they're not taken and somebody of those 4 drops to us, you take whoever that player is.
Yeah, well, regardless.
I think 5, at number 5 is where it starts to open up a little more in terms of, everybody says top 10 taking best player available. But you see time and time again every year teams taking best player available as assessed by team needs. Mm-hmm. Example, Kotkaniemi being drafted 3rd overall. You know what I'm saying? There's not, I'm picking on Montreal just because that's I follow them, but
Mm-hmm.
other teams do the same thing, and it's overlooked how like open it actually is once you get to that mid 10, or
Mm-hmm.
sorry, like that mid of the top 10, like especially this year, that like I said, at 5 it starts to open up,
No, I agree.
because you take the gamble with the Russian in Michkov. Do you take a gamble with a Slovak in Dorsky? Do you take, a Zach Benson? Do you take Ryan Leonard? If not, do you look at a defenseman? I would stay away from D if I was Montreal, just because
Yeah,
I feel
I
like we're
agree.
super deep in D.
Yeah, we're
But
fine there.
I don't know. I really don't have a good feel.
No, it's gonna be interesting draft as well, because like I've been reading, like I said before, I've been reading a lot that Montreal is very active. So I'm wondering if we're trying to trade the fifth pick, if we're trying to trade, we had the 31st pick, I think it is. Um, Maybe we try and trade back into the 20s after, I don't know. I'm pretty excited, to be honest with you.
Like, to me, if they have Barlow dropped down to 17, let's say 21 range, and he's still available, and Montreal has the opportunity to move up to into that 17 to 20 or 21, 22, whatever, you do that to take him.
Yeah, I agree.
That being said, if it's the 5th overall pick and the 31st overall pick, and we can move up to number 3 or number 2, I'm also doing that.
Yeah, I want me some Adam Fantilli.
I would love me some Adam Fantilli.
I'd have to get a jersey. I'd have to. Like he's just magical out there.
He is. I absolutely love watching him play. I mean, and again, like, we're not really talking Connor Bedard, because to me it's a lock. He's going at 1.
And that's all that you fucking hear about.
But I
That's
mean,
all
I
I
feel
hear
like
about.
Kyle Davidson gets fired if he doesn't take Connor Bedard at number
Oh,
1.
they will burn the streets of Chicago down, whatever is left of that place.
More so than people are already doing in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, but that's for fun. This is be for hatred.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. Like I said, I feel like the top 4 I named, whether that order changes, I feel like 1 and 2 are almost a lock at Bedard Fantilli, but whether Carlson drops to 4, Smith moves up to 3, or it stays like I mentioned it, I feel like those 4 are the 4 taken. And then at 5, it becomes a question mark, and a question mark at everyone after that. I just looked at team needs, and that's in potential fits, and I feel like my top 10 addresses team needs. I mean, it makes sense, but what do I know?
Mm-hmm. You're talking to me on a Thursday night.
Nothing. Oh, my Lord. I just feel like it's a whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just feel like time has moved so quickly in the last few months. Like, really, all of 2023 almost seems like a blur.
Yep.
Almost seems like a blur.
I mean, hey man, we've had a good first season of the podcast, so we can't complain
Hey,
too
man,
much.
season wraps up in September. You know, season two starts at the end of free agency when camps open up. So we still got some summer. We got to cover some free agency stuff. Probably some more hirings, firings, and buyouts.
Oh yeah.
Our versions of Lions, Tigers, and Bears.
Yeah.
But we have some great guests lined up. Eddie Lack, Zach Fucal, John Morasti, amongst others. It's going to be a good summer. I'm looking forward to it. We're definitely going to get some Friends episodes in there. We need to there's a couple guys I need to get back on the pod, just because they're so interesting in their takes. Obviously, love having Coach Adam on.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to get Evan Lefebvre back on. He's always good for like 10,000 hot takes per episode. You know, and then obviously your brother Josh.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely some buddies. My buddy Nicky Atkins, Sens and
Oh
Seven.
yeah.
Shout out to Nicky Atz.
Give
That's
that guy
another guy with a
yeah.
lot of hot takes.
Give that guy an A, bud. Give that guy an assistant captain. No
Yeah,
questions asked.
yeah. But no, it's going to be a good summer, and I know we discussed keeping this episode short. We just kind of wanted to wrap up, give our thoughts of that Stanley Cup Final, kind of address where our favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens, were going to go, or where we felt they're going to go in this first few weeks of the off season. Buyouts are coming soon, so I think the buyout question is probably a good question to wrap up with. And we'll only discuss Montreal because, I mean, we're not going to go through all 32 teams. But with Montreal's buyout, who do you think the most likely candidate is? I will give you 4 options, and you tell me who you think the most likely buyout option is. So A, I will give you Mike Hoffman, 2 years left remaining on his deal. The second one I will give you is Yoel Armia. The next one I will give you is Chris Weidman. And the fourth option I'm going to give you is they do not use a buyout.
Fuck me. I don't. No, I think they know it's gonna happen. And I mean, the easy answer is Chris Weidman because I fucking hate that guy. My God.
Yes, but the question isn't who you would buy out. The question is who do you think they will buy out?
Mike Hoffman.
Mike Hoffman.
Yeah.
I have a hot take.
No.
I personally would buy out Yoel Armia.
See, I love Yoel Armia.
I like him. I like him, but as a bottom 6, we have cheaper options that are just as effective. Mike Hoffman is somebody that is good for a couple injuries a year. You bury him on the LTIR. He's somebody that could have potential upside at a trade deadline if he gets hot. He was hot at the right time this year, but then he got hurt. He would have been traded at the deadline this year if he was healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think just in potential returns and upside, if I were Kent Hughes, I think Mike Hoffman I would keep. Chris Weidman's not making that much money to be a difference maker.
No, exactly.
If he's not cool with being a 7th guy, you put him on waivers. Nobody claims him. Have fun in Laval.
See you later.
And if you're looking at the no buyout option, I feel like we have too many good young players. Sean Farrell, Josh Roy, amongst others. Not Lucas Vegemo. There was somebody else. Played a few games with us at the end of the year that really showed promise. I mean, Alex Belzil's not a rookie; he's like 31, but he's done well. I just feel like there's bottom level guys that are cheaper options than Yoel Armia. And at the end of the day, you don't need to be paying $3 million to somebody on your bottom 6.
No, yeah, and I think he's just. He died off there. He had a good season, and then.
But he reminds me of Arturi Lehkonen. When Arturi Lehkonen first came up with the Habs, he was going to the net, scoring goals, shooting, and he looked like he had the puck all the time. And Yoel Armia looked like that his first season and a half of the Habs. In the last season and a half, he left you wanting more most nights. He has such a big frame, and I feel like he's a pretty good skater. He has a good shot.
He's got great hands.
And he just doesn't seem to use them.
No.
And there's been so many big bodies in Montreal that have good hands or have a good release, and it just seems like they don't want to use it or don't use it.
Mhm.
And again, just off the top of my head, Yoel Armia, Benoit Pouliot.
Oh fuck. PA Parento.
Was he
He
is
was
he big? Is
he
he
was
big?
he was a he yeah, he was a big guy.
Yeah, like I mean, Alex Radulov was another one. Where he'd show up for a few games and he'd disappear, being a big body. I don't know. I just Montreal has a long history of bringing in guys that disappear for parts of the season and they come back and they're flash in the pans. But
Mhm.
like I said, I just if I was using it, I think the smartest option is Yoel Armia, but I think it could also go Mike Hoffman. But just again, if you're buying somebody out, you want to make sure that the upside or potential return that you can get for this player later on or in a trade is less than giving them away for free.
Mhm.
But we'll wrap it up here. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a lot more of a theory than it was questions or uh, based on any fact. It was gut feelings and our opinions. If you guys are still listening, thank you. You
Yeah,
turned
we
it
let
off
every
once
shit
you
go on.
figured out we didn't have a guest. Then I also understand.
I'm kind of a guest. I'm at my house. I'm not sitting beside you on the casting couch.
That's fair, but I mean, it also it makes it tough if it's just the two of us and we're both sitting on the couch. I want to be able to look at you and talk and not,
Yeah.
have a crink in my neck and have to go see my chiropractor tomorrow morning. And nobody wants to see side profile the entire time. So I think this was a good call. We might have to get another average jocks, you know,
Thing instead of my wedding
poster to put
pictures.
up behind. Yeah, I mean, love looking at you and Alex. Uh, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing you want to say? I
No. Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, like you said, fuck it. We'll be back next week with a banger, as per usual.
yeah, it's Zach Fucal next week, right? It
I think
is. I'm
is it?
I'm
Yeah.
almost I'm almost 100% sure it's Zach Fucal. Uh, jeez.
They're just so popular. We just kind of, I guess, mix up, you know?
Yeah. Jeez. No, Zach Fucal's the week after. Um, yeah, I think it might be Eddie Lack next week. Eddie Lack or
Uh-huh.
Morasti, one of the two. I'm not sure. But regardless, another great episode next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this little wrap up of the 2022-2023 season. Uh, Pleasure as always, Laddie.
Yes, sir.
And look forward to having you back in studio next week.
Well, I can't wait. I know. I see you sitting on my side of the couch, so you must miss me
Well,
enough.
I'm sitting dead center so that the camera can I'm looking at it straight on. Um, and also feel like it would look bare if I just sat on one side.
Maybe get like a blow up doll next time.
Maybe.
Oh, fuck.
All right. We'll see you
All right,
next
my
week.
friend.
And
Yes, sir.
thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Take care.